Primal Pursuit is a Roblox game about surviving against a dinosaur for 5 minutes, and players are equipped with a gun and car. There are 22 dinos in the game, but only one can be the best. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you a monster amongst beasts. Behold the deadly failure of a biological experiment. The monster was available during the 2025 Halloween event at a price of 20,000 pumpkins, making it the most expensive Halloween item in the game, and I think it is the best dinosaur in Primal Pursuit. To see how it outclasses every dino in the game, we will compare it in 3 categories: appearance, stats, and ability. Each category will be explained as the video goes on, and I will give the D-Rex a score in both categories and subcategories. Let's get on with it, shall we? Appearance is basically how the model of an item looks. For example, the hypercar is a pretty smooth model, and you can tell it is based off a real life car, which I believe is the Lamborghini. For our D-Rex here, we are going to rank it based off accuracy to the movie, the quality of its skins, and overall how unique it is when compared with other dinos. Let's start with accuracy. If you somehow don't know, this creature is based off Jurassic World Rebirth's D-Rex, which we don't see much of, but we can have a rough idea as to how it looks like. In the few shots that we get it in, we can infer that this beast is some sort of amalgamation of multiple dinosaurs, which is why it is named the Distortus Rex. Off the bat, a very recognisable feature of the D-Rex is its 6 limbs. The front pair of limbs almost appear to be ape-like, with elbows similar to that of a human's, along with walking on its knuckles. However, in between the scarily human-like arms, there are 2 very thin limbs, which don't seem to have much purpose. These limbs seem to be similar to that of a T-Rex, with the 2 fingers and how short they are. Towards the back of its body, its legs seem to be some sort of theropod, which is fairly normal, especially compared to the rest of its body. Limbs aside, we could also take a look at its head. Based off what we can see, it has a massive forehead, which looks like a mushroom. Aside from its forehead, it has a fairly short snout compared to other carnivores in the series. It almost looks like a Carnotaurus if it was a xenomorph. Onto its body, it's a weird situation considering it was born to be a biped before to be a quadruped. Just to clarify, biped means 2-legged and quadruped means 4-legged. It gives it this weird theropod body mixed with some sort of bulky hadrosaur or sauropod. But we don't body shame around here. Its colour is mainly a very light brown with splotches of dark brown around its body. Pretty much just a Jurassic Park's T-Rex if it was inverted. Onto our pretty boy, the monster. Overall, you could tell that this is meant to be the D-Rex from its massive forehead, no offence, along with its pretty short snout. However, its teeth are a bit more jagged compared to the actual D-Rex. But who needs a dentist when you're a giant abomination? Its body is fairly accurate, but there is way more of a hunchback present. Unlike the D-Rex in Jurassic World Rebirth, our monster here has a terrible posture. With its limbs, the stubby arms at the front are practically perfect, along with its 8 arms allowing it to run around like a bloody maniac. One difference in the limbs is the back set of legs. They are slightly shorter than what we see on the actual quote-unquote dinosaur in the movie, but you still get the abominable theropod idea. The biggest difference is their colour, as the monster is much darker in coloration compared to the D-Rex. However, they are both still brown in colour, and in terms of accuracy, there isn't many differences between the two, so for me, the accuracy score gets a solid 4.5 out of 5. Now, how unique is it when compared with other dinosaurs in the game? If you take a closer look, you can see the devs had a bit more fun with the monster. Obviously at the time, we didn't know much about this creature, so our friendly developers had to fill in the gaps for us. And, as you can see, they did a pretty good job. To do these comparisons fairly, I will compare it with the most expensive dinosaur in terms of bones. I present to you Exoraptor. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this model. I think it's pretty ugly, even as an original dinosaur, but we can't be biased here even though the monster is miles ahead of it in appearance. Both dinos have had creativity put into them to make them as original as possible, with inspiration from the Jurassic World movies. The Exoraptor just looks off. If you compare it with the Indoraptor, obviously the Indo is much better, but they could have done a much better job with it. Take the beast for example, you can tell it is meant to be the Dominus Rex, whilst Exoraptor requires some thinking about the name, but this is about uniqueness, not accurateness, if that's even a word. There is a lot of creativity put into Exo, don't get me wrong, but the creativity just doesn't really save it from being ugly. With the monster, it's fairly ugly, but in a good way if you know what I mean. Like, it is meant to be ugly. and the devs did a great job at doing said task. Overall, its uniqueness makes it a really good dino in terms of appearance, so I have to give it at least a 4 out of 5, considering there are a select few dinos with much more creativity put into them. Lastly, for appearance, I will be talking about the monster skin. This will probably be kept short, so let's get straight to them. The Abyss monster is meant to be based off the real life Orca, which actually doesn't look bad. At first I thought the skin was meant to be Venom. Yes, the villain Venom. Or hero. I don't know. Next we have the albino monster, which is literally just the same dino, but albino. But it doesn't look bad at all. In fact, it is one of my favourite skins in the game. The Phantom monster is the skin which makes the dino kind of transparent, but at the same time you can still see it pretty well. I like it, especially in Cavern, because it matches so well with that map. The Nuclear monster is a greenish dino with a radioactive aura surrounding its mouth area. I really like this skin and it fits jungle pretty well. Lastly, the Brimstone monster is a volcanic fiery skin which matches the volcano in the middle of the jungle really well. It is also a very cool looking skin. Overall, the skins are very good and can match maps very well, so I give them a 4.5 out of 5. With all these aspects of appearance looked into, I think it's fair to give the monster a 4.5 out of 5 in appearance, as it has a lot of creativity put into it whilst being accurate to its inspiration. Stats are the numbers you see on an item's card. For example, the pistol has a fire rate of 0.25 seconds, 248 damage, and 8 ammo. I will be looking at the monster's speed, base health and damage. To start, let's look at speed. Unfortunately, it has a speed of 42, which makes it tied for the slowest dino against T-Rex, which has the same speed. This means that it can't really catch up to certain cars such as a hypercar or any defensive player pretty much. However, if the player is dumb enough to get close, you can actually keep a good speed with car. A good example of this is the Lunar Rover, where the monster will keep up with the car in damage range depending on how close they are. Despite this, the speed is still pretty bad. It has to rely heavily on its range, which actually isn't too bad. Overall, I give its speed a 2 out of 5. Now, its base health is amazing, coming in at 3,100. It has the second highest base health in the game, only beaten by Bronto, which has 700 more health. This means that the D-Rex can tank loads of damage from a fairly big server, like ones with many LMG users. Now, the D-Rex also has a big hurt box, which is the area of where the dino can take damage, so our dino here will have to take damage a lot, as it is a really big dino. However, if you play defensive, you can be really powerful, especially if you are prioritizing health. I give it a rating of 4.5 out of 5. Lastly, its damage is great. 175 damage, it can destroy cars very easily. For reference, hypercars will get 2-shotted, tow trucks are 4-shotted, and lunar rovers are 3-shotted. Also, it can kill people with the medkit buff, which give players 60 extra health, a total of 160 HP. Its damage is pretty much why speed doesn't matter when playing as this dino, because you can destroy most cars very easily, plus you have really good range. The damage gets a 4.5 out of 5 from me. The stats of the D-Rex are amazing, and even with bad speed, the other stats outweigh it. The stats get a 4 out of 5 overall, as speed can be a bit of a problem, but as I just said, the benefits outweigh the consequences. Ability is the special feature of a dino or a few other items in Primal Pursuit. An example is the Dino's acid, which makes a venomous trap of acid. Each ability has a cooldown and does something unique, unless you are the beast. The monster, however, has an amazing ability, which I'll explain now. The sweep begins with the D-Rex backhanding the ground with its massive gorilla arm, and it creates an earthquake which flings players out their car and deals damage to them and the car. Now, the sweep isn't as simple as an earthquake. There are levels to it. No, like, literal levels. When you do the sweep, there are 3 sections that begin one by one. The first section is fairly close to the dino and deals a lot of damage to the survivor. The second section is a medium distance away from the dino and deals enough damage to the survivor to make their health orange. And the third section is the furthest from the dino and takes half their health. Along with damaging the player, you also deal 75 damage to the car, which can be useful in a lot of situations. The biggest part of this ability is the fact that players get flung out their car. This means you could easily run up to the flung survivors and end their run. Now, this ability does have a flaw, and it is the fact that players can get back in their car as soon as you sweep. Sometimes it will be flung too far, but usually more skilled players can get back in their car easily. However, they still have to start up their car and accelerate away, so you can do some damage and maybe destroy their car. However, if they are too far, it's not worth it. Another great thing about the sweep is that you can use it through barriers. You can sweep through rocks to give yourself a rangeful advantage, as people will still get knocked out of their car with a hint of surprise. Although you still have to get around the barrier to catch up to them, and they might be in their car by that time, so I'm not sure if it's exactly worth doing it. Overall, this ability is amazing. I give it an easy 5 out of 5. My favourite ability in the game by far. I don't think anything can beat it. With all my points explained, now you know why the monster is the best dinosaur in Primal Pursuit. Has an amazing model, great stats, and the best ability in my completely correct opinion. If you have any arguments, you're obviously wrong, but I would love to hear them anyways. But this is the end of my video, so if you enjoyed, give us a like, subscribe, join the Discord server, and the Roblox community, and I'll... Oh my days.